you kind of started off as a first responder for sports. So how did you kind of get into that?
It's part of the scope of practice of the athletic therapist. So we do emergency care. But what I did is when I first started working at Concordia, I realized as a young, recently graduated professional, I knew less than the students, or I knew just as much as my students. I went to Dawson and I did a paramedic program. So that's probably where the first responder thing comes in. But the first responder is part of the paramedic program, and we use that to do our intervention for athletic therapy, so on the field stuff.
And just kind of as an athletic therapist, I didn't really ask this, but what specifically do you do? I mean, it's kind of just a broad sort of term, so I'm sure there's so much to do with when it comes to athletes. So what specifically does an athletic trainer do, and what specifically do you specialize in?
Okay, athletic therapy is it's probably like a generalist in medicine, but in the therapy world. We do a little bit of everything, but we're not a specialist in any one thing. Some of us get specialties because we like one thing, we have an interest in one thing, we will focus. But basically ends up being from the point of contact with the athlete, the emergency care. Hi, how are you? By the way, you're not going to die, I'll save you. So that's sometimes the first time we meet the athlete, unfortunately, and then we'll invite them to our clinic. Well, I'll get you on the road to recovery, so we're going to recondition you, so we'll do the rehabilitation. And before all that started, we would do some prevention and care where we try and condition the athlete, make sure that they had proper flexibility, strength, endurance, and everything like that. So it's mostly prevention, emergency care, and if that fails, then we're rehabilitation. So what's fun about it, you meet the guy from the beginning, he has the injury, you rehabilitate them, you bring him back in, you see him back in the field. And I think that's what the rewarding thing is. It's full circle. Whereas you're not just doing the rehab only, you're not just doing the field care. So I think that's pretty positive about AT.
And aside from the Olympic national teams and Paralympics and national teams, I saw that you've worked with athletes from the NHL and the CFL. So could you maybe talk about that?
Not the athletes, the people that work with the athletes. Because it's the NHL, the CFL, it's very closed circuit. You got to be with the team. And
they have their own doctors.
They have exactly. It comes and you want them to be like that because you don't want them to just go off into any clinic and get whoever's there. So I've been working with various teams, and I guess this all started because I've been teaching at Concordia for such a long time. A lot of the graduates that leave the program, they go off and they get successful and they pick up different teams and all that, and they always come back to the source and they ask me for my advice, and I'll go back and I help them. Obviously, you usually get a big break when something bad happens. Like I train Cirque du Soleil, we get called in when something bad happens. NHL, something bad happens. So one of them, if I recall well, was the Zednik injury, his first ever injury. No, the one before that, he had he had a head spinal type of thing. And what was really unique about Montreal, we have a pretty good sport medicine community here in Montreal, and those guys went off, and we've been training them for quite a few years, helping them, improving their techniques and all that. They're always up to date, so every maybe a couple of months we go off and do a mock-up at the Bell Center or at the training center in Brossard, so we keep them up to date because things change. And so what happened, they had this wonderful intervention that everybody looks like, wow, do you see what they just did? And most NHL rinks, they send the paramedics in, they send other people in, and there's no coordination. Everybody's just like haphazard, but these guys went in like drill sergeants, like boom, boom, boom. It looked like it was at ease, and then people say, well, hi, where'd you get your training? And then obviously, well, John taught me. So one year they invited me off to the PHATS, the Professional Hockey Athletic Trainers Society meetings, and I gave a presentation with the therapist, and we discussed why was Zednik, sort of use his name, but why was Zednik such a success story? What did we do right? What could we do better? So after doing that, I was invited over and over and over, and I kept on then training the trainers. So I trained the trainers how to do the intervention. I did that maybe about 5-6 times, and then one thing led to the other, and then we started doing with the CFL, and then we started doing with this league and that league. So it's just one big vicious cycle, and it's been fun so far.
That's really awesome. And you were the chair of Sports Medicine and Science Committee for Judo Canada. So, and you were saying that you were with a team for 22 years. I assume that's the judo team, right?
With the judo team, yeah.
Okay. So, what was that kind of like?
Well, I'll tell you the beginnings. With judo, it was one of those Thursday afternoon, we have a competition this weekend, can you come and help us? So, sure, okay, let me check my schedule. So I was available. I showed up with 2 kits, I get to the gym at Claude Robillard, and there was like 600 people. And I was alone. And I'm going, well, what do you normally have here? So, oh, we usually have St. John's Ambulance. Nothing against them, but this is way over their skill level.
Right, yeah.
So I get there, and all of a sudden they start carrying in people over to me, half of them unconscious, and I'm not joking, semi-conscious, broken tibias and dislocated. I'm going, whoa, 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 what's going on here? This is ridiculous. And this is a normal event. So I said, I found my venue. So I fell in love with the sport because if you're going to go somewhere, you don't want to be twiddling your thumbs. You want to help people. So
right,
I found myself very in my element. So that's when I decided this was for me. I love this sport. You got male, females, different age categories, there's different weight categories, different ages, and all that. And it was really dynamic: concussions, sprains, dislocations. So I started at that event, which was provincial. And I got my name known. They invited me to national, then national to worlds to Olympics, and that's probably how it started. You have to show that you're able to do it, and then they'll bring you in.